briefly about how rheumatoid arthritis is in the UK, because obviously we have our NHS, which makes everything a little bit different, I think, to some of the other pictures you might have heard. So this is just a quick overview of the healthcare burden as it stands. So I'm going to jump around a little bit. Is there a laser pointer? There we go. So for the UK, we've got a 7.6% of sufferers of osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. What that translates to in numbers of rheumatoid arthritis is within the UK as a whole, we have 400,000, but of that, almost an eighth is in Scotland, which is quite alarming. The NHS Scotland budget for musculoskeletal disease was up at £353 million last year, which is quite a significant number. For people with rheumatoid arthritis, they have many disease-modifying anti-rheumatic drugs at the moment, but of the proportion that have rheumatoid arthritis, we only have 46,000 using ADL in the UK at the present. That's mainly because for each patient, you're looking at £9,295 per year just for the drug. That's not including testing. So it's quite expensive as a burden on our system. We've actually seen an increase in the last 3 years. So we've got 600,000 consultations going through the GP clinics, which is where most of this is done at the moment, which is adding approximately 2,500 patients per year onto this register, which means in Scotland, in the last 3 years, we've had an increase of 2.1%, which means we have about 1 in 5 sufferers of chronic pain, but that includes all musculoskeletal disease as it stands. So that's kind of where we are in terms of rheumatoid arthritis, which is where we lead into sort of our market potential, as it were. So if we start taking those figures, and obviously we're working in ideal circumstances here, right? We've got 56,000 sufferers of rheumatoid arthritis in Scotland. When you break that down into the number of clinics that look at rheumatoid arthritis consultations, that's approximately 30 clinics, not including the university rheumatology departments that have consultations coming through. If you average those through, you get about 1,800 patients per clinic. At present, for ADL, you're looking at 4 tests a week. Not a week, sorry, that would be quite alarming, wouldn't it? 4 tests a month, which has given us this figure over on the right, where we can ballpark it at about 10.8 million. If everyone was to use ADL in the UK, that would be quite a large figure. Using a point of care system, like most of the teams have developed here, would be able to reduce that to a pre-dosing system, I think is what most teams are going for. So you can cut that test time in half, right? Because the dosings are bi-monthly, so we get 2 tests per month. We don't actually have an exact figure for how much an ADL test is to send off and come back. We asked all of the charities, and the only figure they could give us was that a blood test to just take and send is £5. Everything that comes after that, with regards to the 7 to 10 day results turnaround time, they don't have a figure for. So if we take that as our blood test average, then the cartridges, once we've got up and running with injection molding, would be able to sell at, be come through production at around £1 a cartridge. So our system is a disposable cartridge system, right? Single use. We have the device for rental, lease, and then the cartridges are the main source of the income. So even at £3 per cartridge, we're still getting quite a significant return back on those cartridges, which means we are able to reduce the burden on the NHS, which is something that they're always looking to do, take away from that budget strain by almost 2/3. But obviously these are ideal circumstances. Realistically speaking, there are only 46,000 users in the UK, which is approximately 1% of what we need. So your first year, if we were to only test with the few that use ADL in Scotland, your figures are closer to 110,000 when you roll it through this scheme. This is the main point for our pitch, is that the NHS is consistently, we don't really have private sector clinics that are going through this kind of stage. It's the NHS burden that we are able to alleviate with this sort of device. And then we had a bit of a chat with our Adam Smith Business School graduates. We managed to put together a figure for injection molding of around £85,000, and then working with them, they gave us... Why has that disappeared? That's unhelpful. Anyway, they gave us a ballpark figure for a company in this sort of infancy that we should be trying to get around 200,000 in terms of investing. And this was a sort of breakdown of how it'd be distributed if we took that 85K to get up and running for the injection molding process. That's all we really have, to be fair. And I think that's time anyway. So, questions? Ta.
Are there any questions? Yes?
You had a figure of 9,000 something pounds per patient currently. I was wondering if you now calculate that further, what would be the price per patient using your system?
That's a good point. We can do that. I think we had it at some point, but that's fine. Oh, no, I can't do that because that figure was for the ADL drug, not for the testing.
I really recommend you to take that perspective. You know,
Okay.
this is what it costs today per patient, and with our solution, we think we can end up here, and then make very transparent what are the savings.